game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take, Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill. Well, I don't know if it's fortunately or unfortunately another loss here for the Toronto Maple Leafs, game number 18 against the LA Kings. I don't want the team to lose. I think that's something that I've been accused of in the past when I come on and say I'd rather in these games that it's undeserving of a win, that you don't sneak out a win. In the playoffs, it's a different story. I don't really care. Win however the fuck you want. Get it done. Win hockey games. That's all that matters. But in the regular season in years past, when you're watching a team that you kind of feel like they're close but just shy, I personally would have preferred in those instances for them to lose those games so that they could, excuse me for bringing up a dark part of Toronto Maple Leafs fan history, but learn lessons so that they don't walk away and think, hey, everything's okay, and they can kind of just get by with it. They can kind of just sneak through and say, okay, we won, it doesn't matter. We played the wrong way tonight, but we won. We didn't deserve a win, but we won. Because it always felt like this group in particular never figured out, really, we didn't deserve this one. We shouldn't have won, but we won. This tonight is a game that in years past, they probably find a way to win. And, you know, I want them to win. I want to see them win Stanley Cups, but it kind of goes back to the pregame video that I put out earlier today. And, you know, the conversations that I've been having with producer Vic, who I think might join us here tonight on the postgame show, and Nick and Rosie about this, and my personal belief, and other people don't have to agree with me on this, but it's just, I would have rather seen the loss because I feel like something will come of it, like a change will happen. And that doesn't necessarily mean the change that comes of this is a change that turns things around, makes you a Stanley Cup contender, and all of a sudden we forget about the first 17 games. But to me, I look at it and hopefully you would assume they take the same approach where the change isn't something drastic where you're looking and going, hey, we got to trade Easton Cowan and Ben Danford to change this and to fix this. That's not the kind of trade you want to be making, I don't think. I think the changes you want to make is a coaching change at the helm where you change something minor, you get fresh eyes in here, you get a new voice in that room and see if there's a response. Because, first of all, there are a calamity of errors that have taken place here over the past 2 years that have finally accumulated themselves to a point where it's just like every single one of them is killing you in areas that you cannot afford for them to kill you. You know, I think there's a collection of good enough players in here. I don't think that this is a collection of unbelievable players. At this point, I have questions about where you're at with your coaching staff and some of the system decisions that they were making. You know, I think this is a team in the past that's not struggled systematically, but they struggled with motivation. So they overcorrect with bringing in Craig Berube. Now, I think he had support like he did last year with a guy like Lane Lambert, who could kind of get by with some of those things, where Lane Lambert would help you out on the defensive side of the puck and kind of clean things up a little bit. Now you've got so much skill in these guys. You were lacking some motivation. Berube can bring the motivation. Lane Lambert comes in. Then all of a sudden, Lane is able to kind of help out the defensive side of things. And no matter who the hell's at the helm for the offensive side, and namely the guy running the power play, who we have questions about, and hasn't really seen seemed to work out through different stops in his NHL or junior or professional career, wherever it is, it's like those things kind of got covered up because you had so much skill. Well, now this season, you've turned back the skill. You have kept the same forwards coach. You are running back the second year with the with the motivation coach, which always has some type of shelf life. You never know how long it is, but when you got a bunch of prima donnas, it seems to be a lot quicker because they've got no interest in having a guy go rah and kick garbage cans. They have just zero interest. They don't like it when they're told to play up to their contract. They don't like it unless they're playing for money, effectively, it seems like at this point. So when you get a guy to go in there like Craig Berube, it might work for a little bit, and I think it probably did. But now it seems like it's run its course. And whether or not it's the coach's fault for this, which I'm not trying to blame them, but it seems like you might be lacking on some of the strategic and systematic areas and maybe just kind of implementing the wrong things here. But then you also have the players to blame here, and likely the players more than the coaches, because A, they can't play this style, which to a degree is a little bit concerning, because I don't think you have to play 100% of what Berube's style is, or Lalonde or Lambert or whoever it is that you want to name in that list of guys who are operating this way and making you play this style. But you want to get towards this style, because how you were playing before wasn't ever going to work. It didn't work for 9 years or 8 years before last season. You won one playoff series. I think even looking back at that one, in hindsight, we probably look at this and can at least say to ourselves, yes, that was a beaten down Tampa team who probably matched up better with you than any other teams that you had. And you had a really talented team who could kind of skate with them, or skate better than them perhaps there at that point. So, you're getting guys who just A, are not necessarily built for this style, and B, they don't even fucking want to try, right? Like, they don't want to do this style, and that's a little bit unfortunate, because it's like, it's not even like some of these guys are trying and not succeeding. You can tell they just don't want to do it. So now you've got that broken up aspect. You're losing because you can't keep the puck. You have no identity. The guys that are brought in to bring a certain type of identity and bring some physicality, bring some type of anger, frustration, meanness to the game. It feels like they've been neutered here, because they kind of look around and go, what the fuck are we supposed to be playing? Are we heavy? Are we mean? Are we physical? Are we skilled? Are we somewhere in between? Nobody knows what you're supposed to be doing. I still look back to Dakota Joshua and what he did in Vancouver, and I continue to think about what Frank Corrado said when he joined Leaf Morning Take. And Corrado brought up the fact that Dakota Joshua, when he was in Vancouver, was a guy who could kind of bring some energy. He was a little bit more electric, I guess is maybe the word to use to describe it, where he could get things going. He could bring some intensity to the game. He would run, gun, and hit everything in sight, and it would just kind of fire some guys up. Like, you saw him in that playoff run that Vancouver went on when they ended up playing against Nashville, the comeback, the win, like all of that when they went on to play against the Edmonton Oilers. He was a big part of that. Comes here, plays for Toronto, gone. Nutsack, gone. Like, you just completely lose that aspect of his game. Nick Waugh, the guy that we looked at as this defensive center, this guy who's going to run out there and take all the penalty killing minutes. He was going to be a guy that you played in late game situations. He was going to play against top end talent. He was going to be your matchup guy. Berube won't play him in that. So again, I don't know if he's not good enough for it. I don't know if the coach doesn't trust him. I don't know if the coach is a moron and doesn't know how to deploy these guys. But either way, or any of those ways, because I just threw out 3 fucking different ones, and it could be even more than those ones, or it could be any combination of them, then you've got a problem. Because you either brought in the wrong guy, you don't know how to deploy them, you don't know how to coach them, you don't know how to use them, so not really sure what the situation or the approach is on that one. You look around at different players that were brought in, and it's just like, it looked like it all worked everywhere else, and you look like you were bringing in the right types of guys, and maybe it's just the combination of them, but none of this works. So to have this team win this game tonight, I think would have just masked even more issues, or even if not masking issues, would have just almost delayed the inevitable. Because you know what would have happened if Craig Berube came out to the media after this loss tonight, right? With, we can score, we tighten up. They did tighten things up. Like, I will give them credit. It wasn't terrible defensively here tonight. I don't think that this team got their shit kicked the same way, let me preface that, relative to the way that they got their shit kicked against Carolina, against Boston on Tuesday, against Pittsburgh for 40 minutes, even going back to games prior. When you look at the first 14 games of work that were in there were games where you just got thumped. Even that Columbus game, you got rocked. And I wanted so badly to give these guys that opportunity to say, you're still working on it, you're still getting used to each other, you're still figuring it out, but I just don't think it's there. And then to have a win here tonight without Matthews, without Stolarz, still without Tanev, if this team won, I think they walk into tomorrow and they're like, well, we won, so we can figure this out. We can get through this. This isn't fixable by just the guys in the room, which I think is a bigger problem right now. But the first and only bullet that you can pull is on the coach. And unfortunately for Craig Berube and co., I think it's their time. Because you're effectively just going to continue to roll along with this group and just watch them keep losing games 5-4, 6-5, whatever, because they can clearly score goals. But it's ugly. It's not good hockey. It's not anything that is going to take you any long-term playoff success or push you over the hump. It's never going to happen right now with these guys. The identity needs to come with guys who are at the forefront, not the guys who are in the middle of the pack, not your third-line guys, not your fourth-line guys. Not Jake McCabe, who's your third defenseman, who probably is your number one defenseman right now, but on a Stanley Cup team should probably be your second or your third defenseman. It doesn't come from them. It's got to come from John Tavares, William Nylander, Auston Matthews. Credit to Matthew Nyes. He has it. He does it. But there's just not enough guys who are in that top group to do it also. They won't push through. They won't do it. They won't make it happen. And you know what? Credit to John Tavares, because I joked about it, but in all honesty, if you watch back every minute of every game, when you roll back the tape for the last 10 years of these guys, that's probably the most emotion, and I'm going to use the forbidden word here tonight, but that's probably the most emotion that the core four, any of them, had shown in their entire tenure. That John Tavares scrum with Brant Clark is probably the most emotion any of these guys have shown at any point since any one of them got here. The most frustrating part of tonight is honestly that you get one more point. Because this is a group that probably didn't even deserve that. And yet comes away with a win, with a point, and it's like, well, we got to overtime. Really? Is that the barometer of success right now? Getting to overtime? They showed a graphic at one point in the third period, I believe, with 6 minutes left. The Maple Leafs at that point had 12 shots on goal. They had nearly half the possession time, or the offensive zone time, as the LA Kings did. And they had about 8 minutes less, or something like that, of puck possession than the LA Kings did. The LA Kings have been unreal on the road, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the LA Kings, but the LA Kings aren't exactly like the Olympic speed skating team over there. It's not the fastest team in the world. For it to be that lopsided, I just think is so pathetic. Like, imagine what happens if you play against the Edmonton Oilers, who are also not doing so good right now, but could probably skate circles around you. The Dallas Stars, who are beating the fucking wheels off the Montreal Canadiens. The Colorado Avalanche, who are showing anybody and everybody how dominant they are. This is just pathetic. And basically throughout that first period, the guy that I was like, wow, he's really showing up. He's really showing some life. And I was thinking, hey, maybe they'll build off of this. Maybe they'll find something in there to really dig deep. It was Bobby McMann. McMahon's winning races, winning battles, getting the puck in the corner. And then everything that they had kind of shown that could potentially be good about that first period just goes to fucking shit. You come out in the second period, probably just a bit of an unlucky goal. Warren Foegele beats Hildeby on one that I think he wishes he'd have back. Yeah, it's not even like they quit in this game. Like, they don't have it. That's almost that's like, I see people in the chat right now who are saying, why isn't Zack mad? Why isn't Zack freaking out? The freak out happened on Tuesday. Whether justified or not, the freak out happened on Tuesday. At this point, I'm almost just... I've almost just come to accept that this is what they are. And that's why, like, the frustration isn't at the same level in this game tonight. The frustration happened on Tuesday when I think we all came to the same conclusion that this team fucking stinks. And that was when we saw them just not show up, not respond. And that game in particular was the one that I looked at and was like, fuck these guys. This game tonight was just like, yeah, that's who they are. Yeah, they don't have it. Yeah, they're not that good. Because they don't. And they're not. They're not that good. They don't have it. They can't control the puck. They can't win battles. They're not fast enough. They get their shit pumped in their own zone. There is nothing really redeeming or likable about this group at all. You know, the one thing that I was looking at when the Leafs season had started and the Jays were on their run to the World Series was watching the Jays, I kept saying to myself, you know, this team didn't start very well to start this year. And not only that, but a lot of people had given up on them. A lot of people said they can't do it. They're not good enough. Fire everybody. Vladdy doesn't deserve it. Don't sign Bo, whatever. And then they were scrappy and they fought their way through it. But I kept saying, you know what, the Leafs are off to a slow start here. Maybe they can just kind of replicate what the Jays did and figure it out. You lost a big piece. You have to approach the season differently. Every game's going to be a little bit more difficult. You're going to have to grind through it a little bit more because you don't have the skill. And that's what I kept harping on this whole time, where it was like, You don't have the ability anymore to just go out there and say, hey, you know what, tonight, we're going to outskill this team. Because you lost a big chunk of the skill. And Treliving never went and replaced it. He didn't. So if that happens and you don't go and replace it, you need to figure out how to win games the right way. They don't have it. They don't have the willingness. They don't have the ability. They don't have the interest. Like, it is just not there for these guys to want to do it. The drive, the character, none of it. They don't have it. They don't want to. It's really, really, really annoying at this point to watch and have to just know that you've probably seen the end of what was the run for this group. And I know that this seems like a depressing conversation to be having right now, but I don't see a way out of it, honestly. Like, what is there about this group that would make you feel like they can fight their way out? Because it's not a level of intensity or love of the game. Like, that's not what is going to get them out of this. They don't have that. They don't have that same lovable energy and the same interest in going out there, shift in and shift out, and trying to fight and scrap their way out of things. As soon as things get tough, they just say, fuck it, we're out. That's why I don't even know that you could do this. Like, DeBoer is the guy that I look at right now, but I think he's got a lot more interest in trying to get himself closer to winning a Stanley Cup for the first time in his life. So, fair enough. I think that one's off the table. I think you're probably trying at this point to go out there and get a coach who can come in, give you a fresh set of eyes, make this season in whatever way possible a little bit less miserable than what it is right now, because let's call it what it is. This is miserable to watch. And then you get that guy to come in here and maybe, just maybe, they can put a fresh set of eyes. Maybe you get lucky and it turns into, yep, we can figure this out. The guys will rally behind them and you get some life. And then, okay, sure, approach the season a little bit differently. But again, I don't think that's the case because I don't think the guys in the room are the right guys. I don't think that they've got the nuts for it. And if they had shown us anything differently over the last 9 seasons, I would probably be a little bit more lenient on it and say, okay, yeah, they can scrap their way out. These guys can figure it out. I don't think that they can. Like, I don't, there's nothing that they have done to show me that they can find their way out of this thing. That to me is a concerning sign where it's just like, what do you even do next? Find a coach because you need a new voice. Otherwise, you're going to, I'm not even saying these guys deserve this freshness because, like, figure it out. But if you just keep Berube, where do you go? Like, Auston Matthews right now, who misses this game, they say it's not going to be that long. I don't trust any of it. I don't trust anything these guys say when it comes to his injury. Last year, they wouldn't tell us anything, and he ended up in Germany. And we barely found that out. Like, the team wasn't going to tell us. They had to admit that because somebody went and snooped and found out. The captain of your team who makes $13 million, who hasn't looked like himself. He looked the closest to himself that he could have looked tonight, but who just has not looked like himself yet over the last 2 years. He's injured. And there's no trust that this guy could be coming back. Link to call in is in the chat there. If people do want to call in, I want to hear people's thoughts on this team, on this group. I want to know where you guys are at on the season, on the era that has been Matthews, Nylander, Marner, Tavares. It's dark times right now. It's dark times across Canada for basically like everybody except the Winnipeg Jets, to be honest with you. Like Vancouver, what's going on there? Calgary's at least bought in that they're not going to be good. Edmonton struggling. Montreal got their shit pumped tonight, got their shit pumped the other day. They look like the early Leafs who could win in a skilled game, but when things get heavy and tough, goes downhill a little bit. Ottawa's without their captain. I don't think they got better. It's a worrisome time across Canada, ladies and gentlemen. It's a worrisome time. I'm thinking that at this point we almost got to start up like a tankathon here on the show. I might start running some tankathon sims. I'm gonna get people involved in that. Maybe we get an animation here. We'll figure it out. We'll do some fun stuff this year. A couple things for people. I do want to take calls. I want to hear from everybody. I'm going to try to get Vic to call in here as well. But before I move on, just a quick note to people. First of all, hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel, Leafs Nation 401 right here on YouTube. We will be breaking things down all season long. We'll be doing instant reactions to everything that happens. You know, at this point, it feels like this is going to be one of those seasons we could start hearing, trades and waivers and all that kind of stuff, coaches, everything at any different point, because it doesn't feel like this is going to be a group that like we just kind of ride things out with. Like it almost feels like this is going to reverse. And as we heard earlier today, where Rosie said the Leafs are looking at Rasmus Andersson, maybe at some point here it starts to be other teams are looking at their players, and we're going to have to be breaking that down, because this is a dark time right now for this group of Maple Leafs. Like maybe I'm just in a really, really bad place right now with this group, but I just have no faith. I have no faith. So we'll be breaking it all down. Subscribe here to the channel. Hit that like button as well. Every set of 50 likes, we will do the smelling salts. I've got the bottle right here. 50, 100, 150, 200. I want to hit it. We hit 189 the other day on the Tuesday stream before we wrapped up. We did go for like 2 hours and 10 minutes. So at that point, I thought it was pretty fair to be able to shut it down. But I want to get 200 here tonight. We're at 68 right now, so we'll do the first set of smelling salts. And then before I get to the calls, we do have some other stuff, so I want to acknowledge that. But thanks for the smelling salts. That burns a little bit. Oh, hurts my head. Okay, we do have super chats here. So quick note for people. Proceeds from our super chats do go to Sick Kids Charity. You want to get your question, your comment, your thought read on the show. You want me to answer things. You want me to just read it. All of that, you guys send it here in the chat via super chat. You press the amount of money that you want to send. You press that $sign. You type in your message. You send the amount of money you want to send. You send that in, and we will answer and read all of them. Proceeds from our super chats do go to Sick Kids Charity. So let's go to the first one. Maxentius Decimus says, we dump it in and have no forecheck. What are we doing? Well, Max, see, that is where the problem comes right now. You dump it in and you don't forecheck. It's dump, no chase. Like, I think part of me would be, I think I would be watching this group and so the disconnect right now where that is happening in my brain watching these guys is the first part. You dump, and rather than chasing and just losing and being like, well, you can identify this, or, hey, you don't have the foot speed, like, or you're not winning these battles, you're not heavy enough, you're not physical enough, whatever, which obviously we can identify in a different way, but you're just not chasing. Like, they dump it in, and then they're like, okay, your puck now. It's like, well, what the fuck are you doing? And then the flip side is you were built more so to be a dump and chase team. You're refusing to dump and chase, and you don't have enough speed and skill to not dump and chase. So you're in no man's land. You have no identity. You have nothing to lean back on. Because a lot of times when teams get in a rough stretch, they can lean back on the identity that they've established. You know, we can criticize the team as much as we want for years past, and I think the identity that they had is not one that would ever win a Stanley Cup. But at the end of the day, the identity that they could lean back on was like, we are really skilled, we can skate like the wind, and we will do circles around you if we have to. They could never out-physical or out-hustle or outwork anybody, but if things got really bad, they could at least skate around and possess the puck and get offensive zone time where they would just hold on to it. And then you'd get games where it was like, okay, things are really bad, we're losing, but all of a sudden you start doing that, and it's like you can score goals. That'll never work in the playoffs, as we saw this team struggle year in and year out when they got to the playoffs, but they at least had that. You look at a lot of these other teams, and it's like, okay, our identity is going to be to beat the shit out of you. So then they go into a game, and then they absolutely fucking whomp teams. The Florida Panthers. You're not going to our net. You're not going in front of our goaltender. You're not going to be able to go into a corner without feeling it. Like, none of it. None of it. Those teams are able to just absolutely beat the brakes off of teams, make them feel it. The Leafs can't. Like, the Leafs just do not have the ability to do these things. And, you know, to suggest they don't have an identity is it almost feels like a cop-out for me, where it's like they don't even know what their identity should be, let alone they don't have one. Because sometimes you find teams that struggle to establish it. They just don't even know what they should be doing. They don't even know what direction they should be heading in, or how they should be approaching a game, the mindset, the attitude, none of it. That's one of the toughest parts of this. They don't even know what they should be trying to do, because you see them sometimes where it's like, hey, now we'll be mean. Hey, now we'll have some skill. It's probably somewhere in the middle, but the last 10 years have been the polar opposites, and they've never found a way to get to the middle. And I think one of the biggest problems was they tried to have the guys who had all the skill and the guys who had all the grit, and they never found the guys who had both. And when we talk about this group, I think that's one of the biggest problems. The core of these guys doesn't have that. And when they just replaced the guy who I think was one of the biggest problems of not having anything else to go alongside him other than skill, like Nylander at least gets mad about stuff, Matthews at least has takeover ability and can play some physical hockey when we saw in the playoffs. The other guy couldn't. When he left, you didn't replace him with anybody who had that aspect of skill as well as any kind of bite. Just none of it. And so you just had this gaping hole in your lineup that wasn't replaced. Your bottom six is probably better than it was. But there was no improvement in the top, and now you're just out to lunch. So, it's tough. Tough to be in this position. More super chats. Also, just noticing, we got ridiculous comments here in the chat. People can disagree, that's whatever. We'll go back and forth. But if you're just going to be a fucking idiot, you're going to get called out for it here on the show. I've got no problem with that. Abusive YouTube talk is a fine identity, though, Zach? ? Get it together, man. If you've watched the show before, I'm sure it'll take you 0.1 seconds to figure out which set of numbers asked that question. Abusive YouTube chats. We're breaking down what's happening with this team over the past 10 years. Abusive YouTube chats. Grow up. If anybody else wants to call in, you're more than welcome to, but we're going to get to the first caller that we've got here on the line, somebody who calls in quite frequently. Let's get to our first guest of the night, Alex A. Alex, how you doing there, brother? How you feeling after this one? Are you kind of are you pissed off, or have you almost gotten to the point where I'm at, where it's just like, this is who they are? Why would I be pissed off? I can't expect anything else.
Yeah, I'm kind of just similar to where you are. Like, last game, I was more pissed off because I just, the effort, and just seeing it this game, it's, I kind of expected it. I thought maybe they might win just to be the Leafs, and they didn't. They had to lose in overtime just to give everyone some false hope. And yeah, like, it's just devastating to watch, but you know what? I don't know. Maybe we're just going to tank and retool, or I don't even know. I don't even know at this point. It's we're not even 20 games in the season. This is the sort of talk we're having night in and night out about this team, and I think it's just unbelievable that's the situation we're in.
Yeah, like, and you know what's frustrating about it too is like you look at some of these other teams with star players and really competitive star players. Is if the idea of tanking and having a down season would piss them off. Like, Sidney Crosby would not stand for that, did not want to go through that. He's like single-handedly willing probably a worse roster, just maturity-wise and even last year skill-wise, to being competitive night in, night out. You look at the guys you've got here, I mean, some of them just don't have the ability. Like, John Tavares is a very, very good player, but at age 35, he's not going to be able to bring you in, bring you over the line and kind of drag you into the fight to be like, hey, we're going to go every night. He's going to put up points. He's going to produce. He does his job. I'm never going to question that. But you look at Auston Matthews. You look at William Nylander. You look at Mitch Marner in the past. Those guys, like, it just, the most emotion we saw was Mitch yelling at the team, oh, let's fucking work, like, let's go, let's fucking go, whatever. Meanwhile, the camera pans to him, and, like, this guy doesn't have an ounce of sweat on him, and the entire night, He hasn't thrown a hit. He hasn't thrown a check. He's avoided everything. And it's the same for the other guys where you look around and they're all sitting there with dog face wondering what the fuck just happened? How did we get here? And then you go through a season like this, and it's like, if Sidney Crosby was experiencing this, if Jonathan Taves, if Patrick Kane, if fucking Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, Connor McDavid were experiencing this, their heads are exploding. The fucking guys in the room here just don't have that pushback. They don't have that give a fuck. They don't have that care. These guys do not give a fuck. And I'm sorry, we've talked about this, and Rosie and Hutton have given me pushback when they've come on the show, Alex, and they've said, you can't say these guys don't care. They're in the NHL. They care. I'm sorry. At this point, they don't care. They care about showing up. They care about getting their points. But outside of that, that's it. They don't fucking care. Because if they cared, they would be doing something different. They would be digging in a little bit more. They would be buying in. And again, Berube's system may not be perfect, but are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? You can't at least dig in a little bit more and say, hey, you know what? I will buy in to going into the corner. I will buy in to making hits and forechecking hard and winning battles back. These guys just won't do it. And I don't know if it's just a matter of Auston Matthews is hurt and will never be the same again, which is an entirely different concern on its own, because if that's the case, you're now solely looking at William Nylander and $13 million player who can score you 35 to 40 goals and maybe get you 80 to 85 points a year in Auston Matthews, who's making $13 million. He's like a second line center making $13 million wearing the captain. He's a great player to have. He's a great player. He's a guy you want on your roster, but he's not the guy you want making the most money if that's going to be the case. And then you watch these guys that are supposed to be the ones dragging you in the fight, and they don't fucking have it. They don't have it. I love William Nylander. I love what the guy brings. I give William Nylander a lot of credit, but how many times do we watch William Nylander where he's skating around with his legs straight? How many times tonight, Alex, could you watch William Nylander in his own zone, 5 feet away from the blue line, stand up straight, and flick the puck out of the zone? If that's the case late in a period, late in a shift, late in a game, where you're like, I'm fucking gassed, get me off the ice, that's fair. But when you are a guy who's supposed to drive play and drag you into the fight, you cannot be just standing there and being like, fuck it, not this one. Oh no, there's a defender that's going to hit me, not this one. Puck goes into the corner, Matthews looks at it, maybe not this one. And the closest we saw from him to showing any pushback was the hit on Zadorov, to which they're claiming had nothing to do with his injury, which I, again, don't fucking buy. I don't fucking buy it.
Yeah,
he gets hit.
I mean, I agree. Yeah, I think that
he goes into the corner, and next thing you know, he leaves. You can only look at guys like Dakota Joshua and Nick Waugh and Matthias Michelli and Max Domi and Bobby McMahon and blame them so much. Like, there are people who come to this channel and chat after games, like Tuesday's game, and they will bitch and complain about the fourth line right winger and be like, that guy fucking sucks. Really? Really? That guy fucking sucks? Like, where are the big boys taking over the games in these situations? Where are the big boys doing the things that you've got to do outside of just scoring goals? Because I'm not talking about anymore just scoring goals. They can score goals. They've always been able to score goals. Alex, that's never been the problem. They've never not been able to score goals. It's the other parts of the game that they haven't been able to do. And here we are, year 10, they still can't or fucking won't do the other parts of the game. Still won't do it, Alex. Unbelievable to be at this point and still watching the same shit year after year, game after game, shift after shift with these fucking guys. They won't do it.
Yeah, it's It's wild. I mean, I've been talking with you for years about the Leafs every single playoff run, a lot of playoff games, even just regular season games, and we're seeing the same thing. And they've tried changing that bottom six so many times, bringing in different guys, bigger guys, smaller guys, skilled guys, faster guys, slower guys, three coaches, and we're still talking about the same issues that have been going on for all these years. And you mentioned it earlier, and I'm not like disagreeing with you at all. I agree that like yeah, they probably do need to do a coaching change to just change something, but I don't believe that the coach is the issue. But maybe they just can't play
Well,
that
I don't
system.
think so either,
That's what I think.
Alex. I
Yeah.
don't think he's the I don't think that he is. But like my question back to you would be then what is the next move? Like, is it just let these guys drown? Like, I'm not even gonna say let these guys try to swim out of it, because they don't have the fucking kahunas to swim out of this thing. They don't. Like, it's just not in their DNA to swim out of it. These are the kinds of guys that if you threw them out in the middle of the ocean and said swim back to land, and they couldn't see it or couldn't figure out how, they would just say, fuck it, I'll die here. Like, there's no fight in them. Those guys are just going to the bottom. Like, it's just, that's what I'm like, yeah, sure, in a normal instance, fight out of it. Fight the fuck out of it. But these guys won't, Alex. I don't think that they will. So, like, is that the play? Is that the move? Like, if that is, I mean, sure, we can all buy into that, I'm sure. Like, I'm not saying that you're wrong on it. I'm just trying to throw out an alternative option where, hey, maybe you throw them one lifeline and see if they want to grab it instead of telling them to swim. Hey, here's the fucking buoy. You want to grab onto this one? Because then if not, you yank the thing away and you say, fuck it, die.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I mean that's where we're basically at. Like we're what is it? What game is this? 17, 18? I've lost
18.
track because of all this crap going on. But
It's like the same
yeah, like
fucking game every night,
yeah,
Alex.
yeah, like I'm losing track. Like I feels like we're in game 30 at this rate. Like the way we're talking and the way it's felt. Like these guys, it's just same thing every night. And yeah, like sure, the coaching change. Yeah, sure, but. I think they just need to send a message. Take like honestly, I'm gonna be completely honest. Like they gonna trade Matthews or Nylander? Probably not. But likely, like something that they need to try and honestly look into is trading Morgan Riley because longest tenured Leaf. Be like, all right, this guy's been here this many years. I know he's not Matthews or Nylander or whatever, but get him out of there and send a message being like, if you don't step it up and you don't show that you got some heart, you're out too. You're out the door. I think that can maybe bring a little ripple effect. I'm just shooting a long shot here, but change something because we're doing the same thing with just without Mitch Marner, and it's just as bad. If not, actually, I wouldn't even say worse. It's just as bad because you're getting more exposed because you don't have that skill to get yourself out of those situations. Even though we're scoring on low shots, we're scoring low on shots. Like what do we have? I forget how many shots we ended the game with, but. We had
Yeah, I
like three
know.
goals and like 12 shots or something. Like you could score. We're scoring without getting many shots. We just can't defend and like can't play as a team. It's unbelievably sad, man. It's so sad.
I know. And they started well. Like that was one of
Yeah.
the things that I thought was like, okay, here you've got something. And again, it's not that I'm just gonna be really transparent as we go through this. Like a lot of time I've tried, and especially at the start of the season, which I think people really fucking hated, and I kind of get it, but at the same time, it's just like, how many times can we come here, and how many times can we say, hey, they're building something, or on the flip side, say, fuck, these guys don't have it, they don't have it, they don't have it. Like to open the season up and just immediately go into this one and be like, these guys fucking suck, I think would have been ridiculous. There was a reason to going into this year to believe that they would have it, and it was going to take a little bit. We all were under the same impression this thing was not going to be perfect right away. Then you watch this take place over and over and over again, and it's just like, okay, at what point are they just who they are? Right? And I transparently at this point, like, I love the team still. I'm showing up and doing the post-game show every single game, no matter what happens, no matter how good, how bad they are. But I'll just be like very transparent, and I think everybody in the chat knows this. And Alex, I think you know this, and I think you probably agree with me here on this. I just don't believe in them. Because what you're seeing right now is what happens to them when they get to the playoffs, just to a much more exaggerated extent. And you're just seeing it every single night, rather than that little blip in a season where you're like, whoa, that was a tough team tonight. You couldn't get through them. And it's like, oh, well, it's regular season. Then you get to the playoffs and you get fucked by the same style of hockey. This here, this is just every night they're showing up and playing like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Every single night. And, me and you, from the time we've started talking, over the years, we could just, the writing was in the wall. We
15 shots, Alex.
Yeah. There you go. Like, that is, that's crazy. And poor Dennis Hildeby, which I think he played more than serviceable. He was good. Like, he let in a goal or two, maybe. I'd say that I think he could have maybe had. But you know what? He gave you a chance to win the game. You can't go sit there and blame the goalie. No. You can't go blame the goalie, right? No. I can't stand when people do that crap. When it's...
Dennis Hildeby had an 8-9-2, but like the one goal that I look at and I'm like, well, I wish he kind of maybe had that one is the Fogo goal. Outside of that, like I'm not gonna blame Hildeby for this one.
Yeah, and exactly, and it's just quite sad. But yeah, I don't know. We'll I guess I'll be here all the time to come talk to you about the Leafs, even in this situation. And I don't know, maybe we're talking if we drop that low, maybe we get a top 5 pick. I don't know. I'm not trying to get ahead of ourselves here. I'm just saying you never know where we might be at, and I mean, hey, that might make for some more interesting conversations. Or it's the fact that someone gets fired, or we make some trade that we're either shaking our heads about or saying, wow, that might not change the team, because none of these trades have changed the team over the years. It's just been the same crap. And players coming here and getting neutered basically every single time.
Yeah, I mean, it's very clear. The culture that's being established here is it's not good enough. I said what I needed to say on Tuesday about the culture and what was fostered by the GM who came in here, and probably more so even the president that was above him to create this situation. But you're here now. Like, there's nothing we can do about this other than, find a way to move forward. And I'm not even talking about, when I say move forward, I'm not talking about, how can you make this team good again? Because I don't think that this works this season with this collection. I think that this is a figure out how to retool. Who needs to go? Who do you need to get back? What needs to change? Like, that's what needs to be determined this season. Because there's probably pieces that you can keep here, but they can't be the nucleus of it anymore. They can just be major parts of it. Alex, with that, I'm going to let you go. Again, I greatly appreciate you taking the time here tonight and every night that you've called in, for that matter, to give your thoughts on the team, the season, all of it. So thank you again. Look forward to seeing you on Saturday and likely talking about the same thing again, Alex.
Yeah, no, I as always, I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll definitely talk Saturday. Maybe a little life in us more than tonight, but I guess we'll wait and see. But
maybe on Saturday they'll get no points instead of 1, and we'll be that much closer to the number 1 overall pick. Maybe.
McKenna.
Yeah.
Anyways,
exactly.
All right. Thanks, Zach. All right,
there you go. Oh, Alex jumping on here to help break down tonight's game, give his thoughts on where we're at on the start of the season. Look, I mean, the chat right now, I mean, like, there are some people, and I think the best way to approach it is to just not give them any not acknowledge them, because I think at this point that's what they're just chasing. They're just chasing having their name said on the show, because they're just fucking spewing utter nonsense in the chat, I think, to get people's attention. But I mean, it's just like seeing Denver in 6 1/3 in there, being upset that people are upset with this result and with this team, whether it's me, the chat, the callers, whatever. That's fucking unbelievable. Like, these are the same people who come here and freak out when the team loses and doesn't look good going into the playoffs or whatever, or when they win and we talk about how they didn't play that well, saying, oh, look at these guys complaining about a win. Sack up. Like, if you're going to come here, sack up. You know what you're in for, and you know people are going to be pissed off about losses, and just knowing that you're at the end of a 9-year span of these guys and what was promised to be this amazing tenure of with this group and what they could accomplish and all of it, and we got fucking nothing. It got fucking nothing out of these guys. So to be here seeing another loss like this, yeah, it's frustrating. And it's frustrating to have to sit here and remember every move and every mistake that was made all the way along. Unreal. We got a couple more callers. I do want to get to them. But before we do, we got more super chats. We got more likes. We got more smelling salts to get to. So let's get to the super chats that we've got waiting here. First and foremost, this one, it's a big super chat. And again, a reminder, proceeds from our super chats do go to Sick Kids Charity. So get those in. Robert Bett says, at least the D and the bottom 6 were trying tonight, which is really what we have been asking for. It was better. Like, it was better. This didn't feel as pathetic as Tuesday felt, or Sunday felt, or Saturday felt. Didn't feel as pathetic as the first 40 against Pittsburgh. That's for sure. But not good. Like, sure, there was some block shots and some feistiness from Johnny T, and I thought that they started with a little bit more energy. You're 2 for 2 on the penalty kill in the first period, which I think you kind of put yourself in a bad position knowing how much you struggle. Anyways, just defensive zone and how little you lack offensive zone possession and puck possession to be like, it's fine. We'll battle through and we'll play on the penalty kill for 4 minutes of the first period. Like, that's a little bit of a suspect decision, but you kill off both. 26 hits to 14. Shots are 37 to 15 for the LA Kings. You had 9 shots on goal 51 minutes into the game. It's not fun hockey to watch. I was talking to somebody today and they brought up, you've got a lot of time left, which is true. There is technically a lot of season left. You could turn it around, but I just think that there's too much work to do, because even aside from being older and slower, they don't play the right way. They're not bought in. They're not interested in playing the style of hockey. There's a disconnect between them and the coach. Your $13 million player is injured all the time. For all we know, the guy could be in Germany under the knife right now. We'd have no idea. They say short term, and next thing you know, we won't see him until fucking January. Like, we're never told the truth. We never know where these guys are. when they're coming back. You don't want them to rush, but we just don't know. We don't know if Matthews will ever be the same. So it's not like even that is sitting there for us to have this like in the back of our minds, like, well, he'll revert back to the guy who scored 60. Because if he did, yeah, sure, that changes a lot. But he just doesn't look like the same player right now. Nylander's taking steps forward offensively. Defensive side of the game, missing. I just don't have the faith. And like the idea of going out there and getting players, whether it's Alex Tuch or Rasmus Andersson, like it just doesn't appeal to me anymore because you're going to have to give up assets. You're dealing from a position of weakness now where you're sitting there with minimal players to give up, minimal assets to give up. You don't have the ability to take somebody from your roster and trade it to one of these teams and say, here, what do you want? And then what? You go get Alex Tuch. He's a free agent at the end of the year. He doesn't want to sign here, and he says this didn't work. And then he's gone. Now where are you? Now where the fuck are you? Like you're just consistently going backwards because you've got guys with no testicles. I should be careful with how they say that because I know Dakota Joshua did just come back from having testicular cancer, so apologies there. That was not what I meant. You've got guys who are a bunch of fucking pussies and play that way, and you're just hoping that the next guy comes in who's just going to fix this? And then you fucking suck again, and then you go into the draft, and you've given up Cowan and picks and Danford and more picks for like a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. We're in no man's land. No man's land with this situation. 125 likes here on the postgame show. That means another set of 50 likes. We do more smelling salts. We're 25 likes away from the third ones. But this is for the 100. We have over 400 people here watching right now. So if you haven't already, like the stream, subscribe here to the channel, Leafs Nation 401 right here on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, send super chats. I got more to go to. I've got more people waiting. I'm going to break it all down. But here's the smelling salts. And I swear to you, these are brand new bottles. So these things are hurting a little bit. It's like jumping into a freshly chlorined pool. It's like jumping into a freshly chlorined pool and having it just go straight up your nose. One more super chat, and then I'll get to our next caller here on the line. And it's a special one. He's been waiting for a while. Let's get to the next super chat. This super chat comes in from J-Rock. I appreciate J-Rock for coming here. J-Rock is a rock in the chat. He's not a Leafs fan, but he still shows up here every single game and tries to keep positivity in some way or another. J-Rock with the super chat here says, for this season, what would it take to gain faith? J-Rock, what would it take to gain faith? I mean, at bare minimum, so let's put two pieces out there because this is how I'll explain how I would gain faith in this group yet. Matthews returns and looks like himself. Let's use that loosely because I don't think we're going to see him look like a 69 goal scorer immediately, but looks more like himself for 50% of the games he plays over a 10-game span. Okay, that's one part of it. Maybe I'll add two other pieces, but the second piece would be in said span, just because you gotta start to see like progress and results. You're putting up like 7 of 10 wins. Like you rattle off 7 or 8 wins in a 10-game span. Okay? This is to get me to like start to gain faith, not to be back and say, I'm planning the parade, I'm bolting my chair down. This is to get me to start to be like, maybe. Probably get 7 or 8 out of 10 over a 10-game stretch. And the final thing, which is hard to quantify, but I think us as Leafs fans and hockey fans in general would just know, like you know it when you see it. They just have to be playing the right way of hockey. Like there has to be an obvious buy-in to the right brand of hockey. And then I could be like, okay, maybe there's something here. Maybe. Let's get to our next guest. He's a very special guest here on the program. He has been calling into the show since I started back in 2021. Doesn't make it easy on himself considering the time zone that he's in. But let's hit the music.
Okay, are you ready? Let's go!
Don't go change it. Do it your way. Go down blazing. Don't go change it. Do it your way. Go down blazing.
Sugar and spice, everything nice. Have a little class and do it right. I gotta say the way I feel. That's right. Buttercup, this is serious stuff.
I love the people.
You ready? Go! I don't get enough time in this show.
I love the people.
How's it going? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. How you doing? Lovely to look at and delightful to see. Love the hat. A wise guy, eh? You look good, really. You look good.
Don't go change it. Do it your way. Go down blazing. Don't go change it. Do it your way. Go down blazing. Doing that one for the old grapes. Go down blazing.
Ohio Gazayam, and welcome to the show, the man from Japan, Gordon Graham. Gord, how you doing tonight, brother?
Ohio gozaimasu.
Ohio Gazayam. How are you?
You're halfway there. Don't forget the mass at the end.
Mass. My bad. Sorry.
Ohio gozaimasu.
Ohio Gozaimasu. How are you, Gord?
Hi,
how
good
are you
morning.
feeling? Good morning. Oh, I think we lost. There we go. Gord, there we go. It's sunny there right now?
Yeah, 20 degrees and sunny.
Well, it's fucking cold, it's wet, it's snowing, and the Maple Leafs fucking suck, Gord, so things are not good here.
So, pretty much as usual, eh?
Pretty much. Let's get to this here, Gord, because I talked to you not too long ago. The last time I did, I think you and I were pretty much on the same page when we were breaking this down, and it was just the idea that, you know, okay, we know they're working through some stuff. We know they're working through chemistry and trying to adapt to a different style. You know that you're trying to figure life out without Mitch Marner. It's the second season here under Craig Berube, no Joseph Woll. Like, things were different to start this season. Undeniably, things were different. You're trying to sort that out. But here we are 18 games in, and I personally, I've moved past the you're trying to sort things out. We always put American Thanksgiving as the barometer to what you're going to be. We're close enough, Gord. I mean, it's not American Thanksgiving, but I don't see anything changing in the next week that suggests to me they could be a different team. I just don't think so. I don't think it's there. I don't think they have it. I don't think there's enough games to prove that something could change. And let's also just throw in the fact Anthony Stolarz ain't playing, Joseph Woll wasn't here, and Auston Matthews is who the fuck knows where. So, what changes with this group, and what makes you believe they're anything different than what they are? Because I have moved on officially from they're working through it, and I am now at the acceptance stage of these guys are who they are, and they are not good.
Yeah, I honestly speaking was pretty much resigned to that myself quite a while ago, that they were going to take a step back, and there was going to be a kind of time period where they'd have to get to, like last time we talked, the issue was cohesiveness. I think they're disconnected, not cohesive was the word I used that I was focused on. It just, they're separated, come breaking out. The forwards are blowing the zone far too easy. There's a far too big a gap between the D and the forwards. D who can't seem to move the puck smoothly and quickly and on the tape. So breakouts are an issue. Even making the forwards having to come back deep even more imperative, but not doing it. So getting a lot of turnover goals, or at least turning over the puck and giving the other team momentum, giving them a cycle chances, et cetera, all falling apart, obviously. The reason I don't call in after horrible games like Bruins and Carolina is because I'm probably twice as heated as you are at that point, guy.
That's impressive.
So, I think it's just better for me just to step back and cool off, and I'll listen to the show and I'll maybe get in there and throw a few, get it out of my system with a few nasty comments in the chat. But
I don't blame you.
That's about it. Whoever called in earlier, wrote in earlier about, go easy on this is the internet. Hey, this is hockey, guy. We're talking about hockey. Hockey, you're on the ice. Anybody who played hockey, every second word is F. Yeah. It's F-U name, F.
We're on YouTube, F- buddy, not fucking cable television.
I know. And we're talking about hockey here, okay? We're talking about hockey. And we're frustrated Leaf fans, like frustrated forever Leaf fans. I was born in 1961. Okay, I saw a Leaf Cup. I went to the parade up Bay Street into Nathan Phillips Square when I was 6 years old, and sat on my father's shoulders and watched George Armstrong and Keon and all of those classics, Johnny Bauer, and I knew that, this is going to be, this is, as a young boy, this is just like Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple. This is going to be a regular.
This is just occurrence. The beginning.
This is a regular occurrence. And then, so it was the Harold Ballard years, and then it was, who ruined the careers of Sittler, McDonald, guys like that, Henderson. We had some good players, but always came up short. And then, we have the second coming in Matthews, and all of a sudden we're full of these young studs, Nylander, Marner, Matthews, a young Riley. So lots to look forward into the future. 10 years, not a sniff. 2 playoffs, a lot of bow outs in the playoffs. So if we throw a few F-bombs in there, just please forgive us. We've earned them.
Yeah, Gordon. So let me ask you about this then. Let's kind of go some rapid fire. And I'm sorry to put you on a shot clock, but I'm not going to make you do it quickly. But I know, and that your answers can get long. So I'm just forewarning here. But I want to ask you a few things, and I want to get your thoughts on them, and I want to make sure we can kind of get to all of these. So that's kind of the reason that I'm putting you on said shot clock. Okay, but so just for context here, let's start with. Do you think, Gord, that this team can turn things around? Let's start right there. Can this team turn things around?
Yes. I'm more optimistic about that than you. And here, I know
I was going to say why.
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I saw up until this point. Okay, so the beginning of the year, a lot of sloppy, disconnected, they're lacking identity. What is this team? What are they doing, or whatever? You come out of training camp, you're coming out with a lot of flow drills, So they enter the season with trying to be a flow team, and that's not them. They can't do it. They don't have the speed for it. They don't have the talent through the lineup to be it, especially on the D, where it's really important to get that thing initiated. Okay, so lots of problems trying to figure that out. Last few games, last week, you're getting, just absolutely assaulted by the Bruins and caving into Carolina, etc. Chief had enough and said, okay, look, this is what we're going to play. Today, I saw a glass half full. I know you're frustrated. I know the rest of the fans, the guys in the chat are frustrated. I'm frustrated too. But I saw some light at the end of the tunnel. What I saw is a lot more commitment to coming back, forwards coming back deep, taking away the middle. I think I saw maybe 3 decent rush chances by LA all game. So I think there was 3 a shift in that Boston game. You know what I'm saying? So I think they were committed to that. And I saw maybe about 5 times throughout the entirety of the game where LA had any cycle going whatsoever. Unfortunately, they scored on 2 of them. One of them was where Nylander was gassed out too long and had a bad, couldn't get off. Okay, and then stopped skating.
Yep.
Okay, so what I saw is like, okay, now I see they're going to make a commitment to D first. That's why they had so few shots. Okay, so I was chirping in the chat. Look, they're focusing on D. I don't care about the 15 shots, honestly. I think that's going to bump up. But first, commitment to D, and let's get back and let's be committed to D. And then we will create chances on turnovers, etc. Right? So I saw that. I saw that starting to come to fruition tonight. That's why I'm a glass half full. I don't know whether they continue it. If they can, you said if they can turn it around, right? I'm not saying they will. I say if they continue to that kind of commitment, it wasn't that bad.
That's fair.
Turnover chances are going to increase.
Okay, so let me jump in here, Gord. Let me jump in here because I have a little bit of a pushback to something because I do understand what you're saying. But so where I will agree with you is it didn't feel like they gave up as many. Right, let's think about chances. Thank you. Yeah, I was gonna say like super dangerous chances. My pushback on that is they didn't, and sure, I will grant you that, and that's a step in the right direction given what we just saw where they got run all over in the last few games. That's for sure correct. But my issue, and again, it's like a surface level stat that I'm gonna kind of throw at you, but they got dominated in not just shots scored. It's not the lack of shots they had. It was the shots they gave up by LA. And sure, the number of grade A chances went down for LA. But not only did they get dominated in the number of shots, it wasn't like LA was just shooting for the sake of building up Corsi. Like LA was shooting because they were maintaining the puck, where they were carrying the puck into the zone in transition well enough. They were getting rush chances. Then also on top of that, what they were doing was getting the puck back, which is where I am worried, Gord, because I agree with you. They were basically, but like my point is they were good at being like, we got to hold on to the holy shit handle and not give up anything crazy, but they couldn't put an end to anything. How often, outside of like the early first period, did you watch LA establish some type of cycle or get down in the offensive zone? Like the only time it got broken up was when Bobby McMahon took that one for the breakaway. Outside of that, it was either LA shooting themselves in the foot to give the Leafs the puck back or just pure fucking luck. They felt like that the Leafs were breaking things up because otherwise they weren't imposing themselves on LA to make life hard for them. You saw the possession numbers. You saw the time with puck that LA had. We saw the shot attempts that LA had. We saw the number of shots LA had. Like, I know that you're saying the shots for the Leafs will go up, and I agree with you that the grade A chances for LA came down, but the chances in general and the possession time for the LA Kings, it didn't dip that much. It came down maybe a little bit, but not enough for it to be enough for me to say, yeah, these guys got it in them. Because watching that again tonight was like, what is that real? Or was that one game where like, hey, maybe you just didn't get your shit pumped with grade A chances? Because then I look at the secondary numbers, the tertiary numbers, and it's like, those don't look good either. So maybe you just got lucky.
Yeah, I think it's more than luck because I think they did take away a lot more ice. They did take a lot of they did take away a lot more grade A chances. They cut down the grade A chances. They cut down the ice a lot better. Like I said, I can think of about like really honestly about 5 times in the game where LA looked dangerous on a cycle throughout the entire game. and about 3 decent, high-scoring rush chances. So of course, I 100% agree with you. They're losing a lot of battles, and I think a lot of that is they're having one guy on 2 or one guy on 1. They're not having enough outmanning the puck. Same thing with their forecheck. I mean, they're one guy in. They're one guy quickly will get in, and usually it's a light guy like Robertson quickly in on the puck, or McMahon who can get quickly in on the puck, or Nyes. And the rest of the guys basically they're two. Joshua is trying, but he's a sluggish skater. Waugh is a slow skater. So you got Michelli, he's another light guy. He's not putting any meat on the defenseman to get them to turn the puck over. So their forecheck is pretty much non-existent. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing.
That's another issue, yeah.
That's another huge issue that you already addressed. So I'm not going to go off on a tangent on that. But yeah, I agree with you. But here's what I like. I can't disagree with anything you just said, other than I see a step in the right direction. I saw a step in the right direction tonight. Like I said, I don't know if they can maintain that, if they can build off that, or whatever. It's a step. It's definitely certainly not satisfactory yet. But at least I can see, if possible, if they have a chance to turn it around, that's how they're going to do it. They're going to have to be, okay, suddenly we're going to have to be thinking defense first and then build off of turnovers and try to think of some way to get, like you were saying before, get to the middle in the offensive zone. We got some horses now. We might not have some speed. Let's get clogged in the front of the net. Let's drive the goalie. Let's drive center ice, and let's get something happening in the center ice rather than play peripheral hockey, because we're not that peripheral team anymore. We shouldn't be anyway.
Okay, Gord, I got two questions for you. The only reason here, we got 2 more people who are waiting after you to call in as well. So I got 2 more questions for you that I want to ask you. First things first is, my big thing right now is Berube gone. And it's not because I'm blaming Berube. I don't. And I don't think it's fair to blame Berube. I just don't see things changing. I don't see how you change things, is what I'm saying, if you just stay status quo. Like, I think that this just becomes this dark cloud of negativity, and the longer you leave it, the less likely you are one way or the other to figure things out. Because I feel like you just stick in the middle ground if Berube is here, where it's like, well, maybe Berube didn't work. Well, maybe the team didn't work, and you kind of just... we can make our own assumptions. We can look at it. You could blame Treliving, the players, the coaches, everything. But we could always kind of look at it and say, well, this guy didn't do this. But the coach didn't put him in the right spot. But the GM didn't get him the right players to play with. But, right? So my thought process is, Berube goes, not because it's his fault. Again, he's unfairly taking this, and the players kind of get off the hook. But I think it's the last chance you have. Craig goes, new voice comes in here, and he gets a fresh set of eyes on this and figures things out, because I think it's harder to change a player. But how do you approach this? Are you in the team of leave them as is? Are you in the team of change the coach? Are you in the team of change a player? Are you in the team of change both? Like, what the fuck is the next move? You wake up tomorrow morning, Gord, you're Brad Treliving. What are you doing?
I'm not changing the coach. I'm sticking with Berube. It's players have got to buy in, and the players got to play better. Today was, like I said, a step in the first direction. I'll call back in a month and we'll see how that goes. Okay, but as of now, I'm leaving Berube till minimum Christmas. Like, I look at the league, and it's pretty much a 500 league. The Leafs are 3 points out of first place. It's like I talked about this last time. It's the league is remarkable for its parity. And the difference is it's minimal, but one of the things we talked about before is effort. Okay, and if they're not getting an effort, if Berube's not getting an effort, that's a reflection on him. I think. I mean, that's a reflection on him, and maybe an indication the coach has got to go. But I feel like that's letting the players off. I'm giving Berube till Christmas, and I don't care about the Stanley Cup, because I don't think this team is going to be a Stanley Cup contender anyway. I want to get the ship going in the right direction. I don't know for this year, for the next year, for the following year, whenever. I want to get this ship turned around. And as you said, if you're Brad Treliving, I'm not making any deals at the deadline. I'm not trading one more young prospect or pick away.
If anything, you're in the opposite position.
I've bled picks and prospects and young players for a decade. I'm not doing it anymore. These guys are going to either figure out how to win or we're going to lose and pick up draft picks. And I'm going to start shedding contracts for picks and players and young players in return. But I want to build a culture. You talk about DNA change. I'm Brad Treliving. We're going to play this defense first, finish your check, hard ass hockey culture. And if you're not buying in, if you're William Nylander or Auston Matthews, you can be in a suit and play out the rest of your contract in a suit. I don't care. You're buying into my kind of hockey, and my kind of hockey is defense first, finish your checks, drive center ice, come back all the way. Don't come back halfway. Breakouts aren't guys hanging around center ice looking to be the league leader in breakaways. No, get back deep.
Fair enough.
Okay. So basically, I'm sticking with Berube till Christmas, and we'll see how it goes from there.
All right. Fair enough. I don't think these guys turn it around. And again, just to be clear, I'm not disagreeing with you on it. It's just I don't blame Berube. Like, I don't think this is his fault. Again, I think the players got to get you out of it. I just think it's the last bullet. And when that doesn't work, that's when you can flip back and be like, hey, assholes, we tried. I had the guy. You got 112 points. You won the Atlantic Division. You went to Game 7 of Round 2. And even you fucking quit on him then. Now what? And then at that point, you bring in the next guy. And if they can't do it here in the next one, with the next coach, I mean, that's when it's fully like, you are the problem. Like, you are the ones who fucked this thing up. And then that's when I get to that point with them. Gord, I think that's it. I think we'll get you out of here on that note. I appreciate the call here tonight. Appreciate you joining and being in the chat as always. You enjoy the rest of your day because, as you said, it's sunny. It's early after. What is it? It's early afternoon or it's morning right now?
Yeah, it's 10 after 1. 10 after 1 in the
afternoon. Wow, you got a full day ahead of you. You enjoy the sun. I'm not jealous at all. I only have, it's 11:10 p.m. here. It's fucking freezing cold. It's raining. I can't golf anymore. Like, that's the problem, Gord. Like, I don't even get to finish this shit and be pissed off about this team and be like, oh, I'll go golf. Like, it's like, you don't have that. Like, you just don't even want to go outside. It's a mess, Gord. It's a mess. But you enjoy the rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon. All right. And I appreciate you calling in.
All right, I'll call back in a month, and we'll see what happens with whether or not they commit to defense and whether or not they turn this thing around. So let's keep our fingers crossed. So anyway, Stay positive, brother.
Try, Gord. Thank you. There you go, Gord.
Nice talking to you.
Good talking to you as well. Helping us break this one down and figure out where we're at. We got a few more people that want to call in, so let's not waste any more time. Let's get right to our guy, Maxentius Decimus. Maxentius, how you doing right now, brother?
Pretty good, brother. How you doing?
Oh, I mean, it's kind of hard. I mean, I'm getting some shit because it feels like at some points in the show, I'm kind of going full pin like that and then kind of coming back. But I think I'm just kind of letting the emotions of the post game and of the chat and of the show take over and just kind of following along with that. But I think for the most part, Max, the reality is I almost feel sort of at peace with the situation where I'm like, this team fucking sucks and like that's all there is to it. But I think the frustration comes back in knowing that we shouldn't have gotten to this point. So that's what I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah, you're coping pretty good, honestly. Like, it's pretty good. The last thing that Gord said about, like, this team is not a contender, it kind of echoes what I wrote down in my notes when I was going to call in earlier, where, like, for the last few years, we have been trying to sell all our assets to go all in every single year. And maybe this year just isn't it.
Yeah.
Maybe we should try and get something back for once.
Also, by the way, I don't know if you agree with this or not, Max. Yeah, sure. Some of those guys we can look at and say they were the wrong moves. I'm not going to be so hard on the Lawton one. Like I just haven't seen enough of him this year, and I think a full year of Scott Lawton, we would have felt a little bit different. Not to say that he would have changed the outcomes of the games or what this team looked like right now. Like, I'm not even going to try to pretend that. At the beginning of the year, I was under that impression that things could change, but then it just got too far into these guys being like this, and Lawton comes back and he's injured, and then now you're fucked. But, like that one, it's not great, but I'm not going to declare it as much of a loss as the Brandon Carlo one. That one's fucking awful. Like, there's no way around it. That's a bad trade, especially looking back now. But the decisions to go in and push your chips in each year, I don't have a problem with. Sure, I have a bit of a problem with, the fact that they left after and you gave up assets, or you gave up such high-priced assets to go and get these players, and then it didn't work and you lost and the guys were gone. Like, those things we can debate till we're blue in the face. But reality is, Max, like, I don't have an issue with them having gone and tried. You had to go and try. You won your division. You were second in your division. Like, you were a strong team year after year after year through the regular season. Enough so to try to at least convince people these guys were legit. You just lost the same way every year. That's infuriating. But you had to try. You had to go in with those assets. But you can cut your losses before it's too late. And I think, to what you're saying, this is maybe one of those years where instead of not even trying, like Gord said, where you don't trade anybody, maybe this is one where you see if other people want players you have.
Yeah, exactly. And I have a hot take. If they continue sucking, why not trade Tavares to a contender, retain 50%, and see what you can get for it?
That one I think is hard because this is going to sound really stupid, and I get it, but I think the JT one is like it's like a bad karma thing. Like, trading the guy who took the discount to stay here, he has to ask you to leave.
Why? Well, why can't management
because he's
the guys to make them a decision? Like, why? Why does it have to be the player?
I get what you're saying, but like, it's Riley, it's Matthews, it's Marner, and it's Nylander. Those guys over the last little while and this year are the ones that if somebody calls and they offer you the package that's good enough, that's when you take that call.
Did you see Tavares's 500 goal celebration? That man wants to win. Like, I'm saying this like beyond even in Leafs. Like, give
I know,
JT
but Max,
a
that's
chance
why
to
I think he has to ask you. Like, I understand. Right, but I understand what you're saying, but it's one of those things where, like, I think trading him is one that he wouldn't want to go. So unless he tells you he wants to go, you don't do it. Like, you don't bring a trade to him because I think it pisses him off. I think it makes the whole thing bitter. It makes a weird end to his time here. And it, like, again, this is me looking at, like, this is me doing fucking palm readings and card readings and thinking that way. And I get that that's insane. But reality is, like, JT trading him if he doesn't want to leave screams to me like bad karma trade that bites you in the ass for the rest of eternity. Like, the day that I die, we look at it and say, we still haven't won a Stanley Cup. And I'm just going to remember like 75 years of players who just refuse to come here or sign deals or get traded here because of like leading back to that trade. Like, I know that that's a hypothetical, but all it says to me is like, it's the worst juju of all time. He has to come to you and ask for the trade. You can't shop him. You can't go to him. He has to tell you, I want to go to a contender. So that's the pushback I'll have. If somebody comes and calls on Auston Matthews or William Nylander, like, you take that call. Matthew Nyes, I think, is untouchable, but like pretty much everyone else has to be on the table, Max. But it's just like JT's the one that I think it's just a karma thing. Like, he did you the greatest solid of all time to come back here and do this. He did.
That's I agree with you. I totally agree that's karma, and he has to be the one to want it, you know? And I think he wants to win a cup. And right now, this year, this team is not winning a cup. And if we could get something back for him and give him a chance to win a cup with a real contender, I think that he would want that. He should, you know, like
that's fair. But it's just to me it's just a matter of if he wants it or not, and he's got to tell you he wants it.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got to tell you. What else here, Max? What's going on? Anything else?
I would love to see Akhtamov in the game. Or Akhtamov. It's hard to say his name.
Yeah, Akhtamov, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see him in like one game before Wall gets in, because Wall kind of had like a sub 900 in the AHL, and give him a little bit more time and stuff. I'd love to see him in one game.
I mean, I'm not going to be opposed to it. I think that he's been good in the AHL. I don't know. I think it depends on how long Stolarz is going to be out, to which we have no idea. It depends on how long it's going to take Wall to, again, which we have no fucking idea, because we don't know anything that happens here ever. But I don't know. I'm in no rush to get Akhtamov in. I don't want to. That's one of those ones where it's like, again, we have to think in the back of our minds about these kids and not rushing them and not ruining development. And, you know, that's part of why, like, right now, the way things are going, I don't mind Easton Cowan playing in the NHL because, or in the AHL, sorry, because if he's going to play 10 or less minutes here in the NHL and your team's not that close to winning a cup, like, I think if you're looking at a team that's, like, on the precipice of it and the guy's part of it and he's playing 10 minutes and he gets valuable experience, that's one thing. If he's on a fucking team that's performing like this and he's just not getting opportunities, he's not getting put out there in late game situations, he's not getting put on the power play, he's playing 10 or less minutes, he's having to sit out when there's special team situations, it's not worth it to the development. So get him out of here. One thing you always have to worry about with goaltenders is if you put guys in and they just get shell-shocked in their first couple of games, you can dummy confidence like that. Like, it can be gone immediately. And I know that you have to try it at some point, but I think if you don't need to put Akhtamov in, don't fucking put him in. Like, I hate that I'm even saying this, or this thought came to my brain, but like you could potentially have destroyed Hildeby here. Like it could be over because you've played him the stretches that you did over the last 2 seasons. I know that he's only played 10 games here in his NHL career to this point, but it's entirely possible that it could be ruined for him. And he's not with a good enough team here now to help him out, but you got to be careful with those kids. So that's the pushback I have on Akhtamov, where it's just like, if you don't have to, don't. Like, if you have Hildeby and he can play Hildeby. If you have Wall and he can play Joseph Wall. They're old enough, they're professional enough, and Hildeby, God bless his heart, he's dealt with enough here at this point where he's just been around, he's played. Like, it's too late. Akhtamov, you can hold him in the bubble wrap. Like, that's the concern for me with Akhtamov, where it's like, don't throw this guy into a situation that he doesn't need to, because the team in front of him, Max, is also a dumpster fire.
Yeah, exactly. That's why Cowan shouldn't come up with this team like right now. Like, stay away from this team right now.
Cowan shouldn't come up, in my opinion. Cowan should not touch this roster until they've decided we stink and they're getting rid of people, and Easton Cowan plays top 6 minutes every single night and gets good opportunities and gets to play on the power play, win or lose, because he could at least be around highly talented players and he can play 15 plus minutes a night in the NHL. Until that point, or until they've decided Easton Cowan is just permanently a top 6 player, even on a really good team, I don't want him near this group, because it's toxic, it's embarrassing, it's bad sloppy hockey, it's bad habits. Like, you don't want him around this. You're not just losing like a dignified tank kind of loss. You're losing in pathetic fashion. Stay away. Keep the kid away from here.
I have one question for you. with the Edmonton Oilers being so desperate for a goalie, do we try and trade them one of our goalies and fleece them for like, something more than they're worth?
Yeah. I look it again. It depends how this season goes. I don't think this is going to go good. Going to go good. Great grammar. I don't think this is going to go well for them this season. I just don't see this turning positively. So I'm open to these things, but again, I want to put other steps in place to get you to that point where you can just decide. So I want to fire Berube and bring in a new coach because I want to try that. And I want to know before you get there that you at least tried that one more thing, because I don't want to leave it up to people at the end. Like, there is a brigade of people online who genuinely believe if it's a different coach other than Craig Berube, these guys would be like undefeated to start this season. And I think those people are idiots. I think that they're just pretending to not see what they're seeing on the ice. But whether that's the case or not, we don't know until the coach changes. And again, I'm not blaming Berube. I don't think it's his fault. I think he's taken the axe on this one or fallen on the sword on this one unfairly. That said, you gotta try something before you can get there. And then at which point, yes, everything's on the table. Everything's on the table, Max.
Last thing I'll say is I hope to God that we get rid of Lalonde. His defensive style is just terrible, has ruined this team, and I can't stand Lalonde. That's my last thing to say.
Fair enough. Max, thank you for calling. I appreciate it. I'm not going to solely put the blame on him, but I completely understand where you're coming from. So thank you for calling here. You enjoy the rest of your night, and I look forward to seeing you in the chat.
Good night.
There you go. Maxentius Decimus. We got a couple more calls before we can get to those, and I'm going to probably tighten them up for people, so I apologize. I thank everyone who waited, and I want to give everyone who did wait their opportunity to give their thoughts and get in here and speak freely, because that's what we're here for on the post game. And I know we're pushing long, so my roommates, my girlfriends, they're probably not as happy at this point that I'm sitting here yelling and screaming about the Leafs until midnight every night, but for you guys who continue to stay here with 400 people watching the show in 1 hour and 40 minutes in every night, appreciate you guys again, and appreciate you all for calling in. So that didn't come off the screen. So again, thank you. But just before we get to our next caller, Nick on the line there, who I will get to shortly, just got a couple super chats, so I want to run through these quickly. Proceeds from our super chats do go to Sick Kids Charity. Thank you all for the super chats. First and foremost, Little Willie Styles, thank you for the super chat. Little Will, he says, Officer Phillips, chill, brother, take deep breaths, drink a Mountain Dew, and use the Force. Even that, I don't think will help this team at this point. Michael, Zach, if somehow the Leafs get top 5 pick this year and they don't have a first pick next year, then which year they return the first pick to Boston? Thanks. Not trying to be a dick. I don't even know what that means. I have not a clue what that means. I apologize, Michael. Their pick is top 5 protected this year, so if that's what you're trying to get at, they're fine. Otherwise, I don't know what you meant, so I'm sorry. Michael Lee French, love you, brother. This too shall pass. Go Leafs. Thank you, Michael. Love the chat. Even when chat goes at us sometimes, goes at me, and I go at the chat. Still love the chat. And then PSF1, who we will get to shortly, but says Matthews is the problem. Again, thank you for the massive super chat there. I think this runs deeper than just Matthews. Like, I understand the frustration, but I don't know how you single him out when, I think that Nylander and Marner and Morgan Riley are just as much of a problem in this whole situation as anybody else. With that, let's get to our next caller here. He's been waiting for a while, so thank you for the patience here. But let's welcome to the show, I believe for the first time ever, Nick. Nick, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, sir?
I am doing okay. I think that this acts as a therapy session for myself as much as it does for everyone who calls in and for everyone in the chat. So it's kind of weird. I think I bounce back and forth here, Nick, and go up and down on the roller coaster as well. But as of this moment, I'm doing all right.
So I recently just moved to St. Louis, and I've been going to a couple Blues games, and I've
Okay.
fortunately got to sit next to some Blues alumni, and they'll pick on me because I'm a diehard Leafs fan. But I'll go to the games because I love hockey. And I asked them, I said, what does a Berube hockey team look like during the Stanley Cup run? And two things. They said physical, and you know that win or lose, they're going to give an honest effort, and you're going to be content. But with this Leafs team, they both said, you need the right personnel to run Berube hockey. And at this DNA, they don't have that personnel. And the last one said, which I thought was ironic, was the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again without the same result. So we're 10 years in this era, and we haven't seen anything different. So let me ask you this question. Why would we be against selling the team? Like I'm saying, bye-bye Matthews, Nylander, and just do the rebuild because it starts from top to bottom. And it hasn't worked out. And I find the funny thing is like I know the Amazon show came on and Four Nations, but watching Brady Tkachuk during those Four Nations, he felt like the actual captain on the team. And Matthews, I know Matthews is a fantastic player defensively and everything.
Yeah.
But like, I want Brady Tkachuk on my team.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with
That
you.
hit on like Boston. He gets rolled over by Zadorov. Ain't nobody in that situation is going to know that Zadorov's coming and going to blast him all. He goes and tries to make that hit. He gets injured. It's unfortunate. But if that was McKinnon, Crosby, or Tkachuk or Larkin, are they skating off the ice going to the room?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm with you. To answer the question about like trading the guys, like see the only thing for me is like I would not like this is the balance beam that I'm operating on right now, Nick, where I would not try to flip this and change these guys strictly to fit Berube hockey. Like, what I mean by that is I'm not trying to trade out Matthews and Nylander to just, like, bring in Berube guys. What I think that my takeaway from all of this would be is that you need people who play this ideology of hockey, and I think you can probably identify that it's not these guys, but I would try it with a different voice first. Because there are other coaches who will preach the same things as Berube. They might have different systems. They might have a different approach to the game in terms of player management, locker room management, that kind of stuff. So I would give that a try first. Again, it sounds harsh on me to continue to do this where it's just like it feels like I'm just giving Berube shit night in, night out. And I'm not trying to blame him for the situation because I think it's very clear this is far beyond a Berube issue. But I would try to get somebody else to come in here to lead this, to go behind the bench and try that with that same ideology because, Nick, you know what the ideology is. Like at bare minimum, work hard.
Yeah,
like sometimes they just don't.
Yeah, and you're gonna have nights, obviously, throughout the season. I mean, even the Panthers have them where
it's an 82-game season.
You're gonna have those nights where hey, we just didn't have it.
Yeah,
but when you play hard 82 games, you're gonna have those nights. So my last thing is, even if they did, let's say they get rid of Berube and they have the most perfect coach that coaches this team, is the Leafs team at their best? They're not going to be able to beat a Colorado, an Edmonton, a Florida, even if they had Barkov, if he comes back, even without Barkov. So my whole thing, like when I go back to the original, and I try to be level-headed and patient, and I'll try to get above or too low because at the end of the day, it's hockey. Things are going to happen. But, I mean, it's painful watching them in the playoffs. But, like, I want to say, like, the rebuild may be the best option in the future because we have no draft picks. And I know, like, the Maximus said, like, well, why don't we trade to Edmonton? Edmonton has no salary cap and nothing to give up. And I think with every team being mid this year, there's going to be a lot more aggressive buyers because it could put them over the edge.
True.
And I think also Matthews is getting injured. I think the JT trade, unless he comes up and asks for it, that's the only way. Because I believed in that bad karma thing. And Toronto, JT's dedicated his whole life. He took a pay cut to stay in Toronto. So, but like, they got to figure out how to get Riley out. But in the last thing, and then I'll be done. I don't like the idea of bringing Cowan and the younger guys up because I don't want to poison them with this DNA and ideology. Like, I have no problem next year if they bring in a couple grizzled vets that, kind of like what the Blackhawks did with Foligno and Maroon, show them how the right way, how things go, like those type of things. But I don't want Cowan developing bad habits.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to think, like, Nyes is a big body. He should be the most impactful guy on the first line, especially on the forecheck. But I want to see more of it. And I don't think there's that guy in the lineup or in that locker room that's saying, hey, this is how you should do this. This is how you should do that.
Yeah.
So that's my last thing. But overall, even if they do turn around, it's not going to do a damn thing, in my opinion.
It's going to take so much, Nick, for me to believe like these guys can make anything, do any damage.
15 shots in the playoffs. 15 shots in the playoffs is going to maybe get you one goal. And if you have Bobrovsky in that, it ain't going to do shit. He's going to shut you out.
You know when 15 shots in the playoffs is acceptable? If the other team has 9. And that will never happen.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, like it's not happening. Yeah, good point. The New York Islanders. It's not happening.
Yeah, we're not the Islanders playing the Penguins like every single year, but like that, it's just not happening. And if they get rid of Berube, I want to see the Leafs put their foot in the ground, and I'll get off because I know these guys want to get on. But I want to see the Leafs put their foot in the ground. I'm saying the organization-wise, pretend like if it was a company, and if you got bad employees, you gotta go. You're not performing. You gotta go. I don't want to go work for that company. If my boss is bad, why do I want to go work for my boss?
Yeah, I'm.
How do you bring guys in? Like even if you mumble jumbo the bottom 6 for the last 10 years, it still has turned in the same result. Back to the thing, insanity. So, thank you for letting me join, and I hope everyone has a good night. And I know it's kind of a little bit past the days, but thank you to all the Canadian U.S. Armed Forces. So
yes, thank you. Also, as well, Nick, I will say, first of all, thank you for calling. I hope you call back again. I enjoyed this a lot. As well, I'll also throw out there, say hi to my boy Robert Thomas when you're out there and you go to those Blues games. So enjoy the Blues games the best you can. I know that it's not the best of times in St. Louis right now either, but it is always good to get to go to watch hockey in person.
You can always afford a ticket. That's the perk of being back.
That's true. Not the same here. Not the same here. 10% hikes and we fucking suck. Good shit.
It's all good.
Nick, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Go Leafs. There you go. There's Nick. Couple more I want to get to quickly, but before I do, rip through some of those super chats. Next one up here, another super chat that came in here just now. Super chat proceeds from our super chats do go to Sick Kids Charity. Maxentius Decimus, just tell JT he can win a cup and be in the Hall of Fame if he waives his NMC. Think of the return. I just don't want to ask him. It's a stupid thing that like could hurt you, I guess. But in my brain, it just tells me like this bad juju situation of like, you tell him you want to trade him. If he doesn't want to go or he goes out unwillingly, for the rest of his career or for the rest of our lives, and then through his career, it just weighs on you and weighs on you and weighs on you. It becomes a dark time here in Toronto. We hit 150 likes. We're at 172, so almost at 200 here now. Like the stream, we'll get ourselves up to 200. I want to get to that before the end of the show. That's all for the super chats as of now. I'm also going to close the line. We've got 2 more people waiting, so I want to hear their thoughts on tonight's game. But I'm just going to close the line for people there. Before we do, smelling salts, and I'll recap a best bet. Thank you for liking. All right. Best bet recap before I go to my callers that are waiting on the line here. Again, thank you to everyone who waits, take calls, give our thoughts, all of it. Throughout the course of the show, our best bet segment is a presentation of Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use the code NATION. That's NATION. Code NATION. NATION. It must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Tonight's best bet, I did it for the first time ever. And to be completely honest with you, it was a full-blown shot at the Leafs. Like, there was no other way about it. And I just had no faith in them. I had no belief in them. I couldn't do it. The best bet tonight, it was a tiny, tiny, tiny bet. The honest truth here is that there was also an element of I just didn't like too much that was going on for the Maple Leafs. $5 bet on the parlay of Quinton Byfield, Corey Perry, and Trevor Moore, all to score goals, and the LA Kings to win by 2 or more. It was a plus 9,000. $5 would have paid $455. We lose a $5 bet. So we are now still profiting $230 on the season. $230 on the season profit. We'll try to get back in the win column and do the right things here on Saturday. I just couldn't find too much, and was just real negative about this group leading into this one here tonight. So it did not bode well. There was negativity coursing through me through that pregame. That one loses. We lose $5. But also quickly, Michael, they trade the 27 pick to the Flyers. Do the Leafs need to give away the 28 pick to Boston? If they trade away 28 pick, then what? Or are they not allowed to trade 28 first pick? The Leafs have the first round pick this year only if it's in the top 5. Yes, Alex says Leafs top 5 protected. If they get top 5, the next available first will go to Boston unprotected. Thank you. Okay, let's go to our next caller here. Again, waiting on the line for a while. Not sure the official name, but there's some numbers, and they did throw in a super chat in the chat earlier. So let's welcome to the show PSF1. PSF1, do I got you there? PSF1, do we have you?
I hope so.
There we go. I got you now.
Well, I wanted to take a moment to join your chat tonight because obviously your chat base was really impressed with me spamming that the problem is Matthews, and I would like to kind of explain that. And I know you took the thank you. I know you took the opportunity to say that it's not all on Matthews, and I'd like to take the opportunity to just remind everyone that it wasn't all on Mitch Marner either. But we're constantly reminded that Mitch didn't perform, yet he's the 5th all-time scoring leader in the playoffs for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I just wanted to say that before I get into why I think Auston Matthews is the problem. And first of all, I think I should qualify this by saying that I'm not a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. Okay. I live in the greater Toronto area. I was a Toronto Maple Leafs fan up until I was 14 years old. And if I remember correctly, it was a playoff loss to the St. Louis Blues that just kind of did it in for me. And I that was the Harold Ballard years. I was done. And I took my time picking my next team, and it ended up being the Boston Bruins. But we won't go into that too much. But I just want to kind of touch on the fact of why I think this is a Auston Matthews issue. And first of all, I think leadership plays a big role in how a team performs. And if you're not seeing that passion, if you're not seeing that emotion, from your leader, from someone that's making $13 million a year, that's capable of scoring 70 goals in the National Hockey League. You're not seeing that emotion on every shift. You're not seeing it in his face. You're not seeing it in the end play. You're not seeing it when he gets the C put on his sweater. And you're not seeing it in any example when it comes to leading by example. That's going to transmit through your team, and that's going to send a message to your team. And if your leader is not leading by example, if he's not showing that leadership every time he steps onto that ice, if he's not wearing that C with pride, you don't stand a chance. And that's what I see with Auston. I see a guy that I think is in this for Auston Matthews and not for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I think that translates throughout the team. And that's my first point. The other thing that I wanted to kind of talk to is the talk about the coach and the GM. Mm-hmm. It's been 3 coaches now. Mm-hmm. And now we're talking, the Leaf fan base is talking about replacing the 3rd coach. It's been 2 GMs. It's been 2 team presidents. When does it become a talk about this just isn't the right makeup of the team? And you start looking at the leadership of the team and start really making some really hard decisions here.
Okay, well, I'll jump in on this because I am with you to an extent, because we're seeing the same thing, and it's the lack of success to getting there. But like the counterpoint to this would be Vegas went through how many coaches? The Edmonton Oilers, who are the same guys as well, they have now burned through 5 coaches, and they're also considering going through the next and on to the next one. The Washington Capitals, I think, went through 5 coaches before they won. The Pittsburgh Penguins, they won when they cycled through coaches. So, like, that's the only thing I'm going to give back on it. And again, I'm with you, and I wanted to provide the context of it because I did see that brought up the other day, and I think it's fair and it makes sense where it's like, hey, maybe you got to cycle through until you find the guy and keep things fresh, because coaches, I think, is a bit of a different situation. But I am with you in terms of you got to blame, you got to put the blame on the players here. In this context, am more so saying, you try one more before you come to that conclusion. It has been long enough. You've seen these guys put this body of work up long enough. So, I'm not disagreeing with you is what I'm trying to say. It's more so just like, I'm not letting the players off the hook, but like, you can't fire the players tomorrow. You can make trades. I understand that, but trades are harder to pull off, and especially mid-season, than it is to go and fire Craig Berube tomorrow and bring in whoever the coach is tomorrow afternoon and try something new with that. And look, if I put a percentage of likelihood of this happening, it's somewhere below 10%. It's somewhere below 5%. Okay, that's the reality of this happening, but it could spark something. It could. Like, I'm not saying it will. I don't think it will, but there's a chance that it could. Whereas if you go and change out the players, like, you're not getting the return here in this season. It has to be in the summer. You can make a trade and get rid of guys and bring back assets now. That's a different story, but you're not changing over culture, DNA, that kind of stuff in the season, because no other team is going to give you back the players that you're looking for that can bring that kind of thing in right now. So that is my counterpoint, where I don't disagree with you, but I am twisting it to view it a little bit differently without saying no to what you're saying.
And I totally hear you, and I respect your opinion. I would like to remind you of something that happened, as I mentioned when we started off here. I'm a Boston Bruins fan, and one of the biggest trades that happened in Boston Bruins history was seeing Joe Thornton be traded, and it blew our fan base apart. We couldn't believe that it happened, but it was a cultural change, and I would liken that to Auston Matthews being traded to shake up the organization.
Look, let me ask you this quickly, and just for general context, like, because I'm not as familiar, and I would assume there's probably a lot of people in the chat who aren't. What would you compare, if you could? What would you say the Bruins' state was at the time of the trade compared to what the Maple Leafs' state at this current time is?
Yeah.
You know what I'm asking you? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I immediately I do. And it was that underperformance. It was that what's going wrong here. There's something missing here. And as much as Thornton became a great leader later on in his career, he wasn't in Boston. And part of that was that he wasn't surrounded by the environment that Boston has today. I'll talk about Zdeno Chara coming back and now being part of that team and working with the players on a day-to-day basis. That's so important. Pierre Bergeron still being involved with the organization and showing up to, just rile the troops up. Back then in Boston, it wasn't there. So I would liken it very much to what I'll say is right now, the Leafs are a much more talented team than the Bruins were back then when Thornton was there. Much more. I mean, we're talking about Joe Thornton and Sergei Samsonov. That was pretty much it. So, yeah, I think sometimes those cultural changes sometimes require a really deep cut.
Yeah.
And sometimes those cuts are really, really hard to do, but they're worth it in the long run. And it did work out for Boston. It turned that organization around because they were going nowhere.
Yeah.
But there's I don't want to take up too much of your time here. And before I say these last two things, my last 2 points, and they'll be very quick. I just want to say, first of all, I really enjoy your post-game shots.
Thank you.
I think they're really well-mannered, professionally done, and I think even going up against some of the other podcasts in Toronto, you really do a great job at this, man. So I wish you all the success.
Thank you.
I really enjoy your show.
Appreciate
My last 2 points, I just want to touch on the media in Toronto and how they get, they get dragged through the mud, and most of the time it's deserved, because what I'm going to say about the media is they really do overhype the Leafs, and I think a lot of that has happened since Rogers took over, you're not allowed to really talk bad about the Leafs anymore. And that translates to the fan base, and the fan base does buy into it. And in the smaller markets like Boston, it's not as big as Toronto. It's an original six market, and it's just as passionate, but it's not as big. That doesn't fly. If someone's talking crap, the Bruins fans are going to call it out, and the call-in shows are pretty wild if you've ever heard them. So the media doesn't get away with what the media doesn't get away in Boston what it gets away with in Toronto. My last point that I want to make, and this is about the organization of the Toronto Maple Leafs Sports and Entertainment, and it's something that I caught yesterday on and I hope you don't mind me mentioning this guy's name, but Steve Dangle in his podcast. He actually mentioned that he was an intern at Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. And there was actually a point in his time there where they didn't make payroll. He was an intern. He was making $300 a month, and they actually didn't make payment to him. And I that struck me, and that really made me sit back and think, like, what type of organization cannot make payroll to their interns? And when you step back, and I'm a big believer in total quality management, and anyone that's in business, as myself, would understand what total quality management is it begins from the top and it comes down. It's like a pyramid, okay? And if you don't have that leadership at the top, if you don't have management ensuring that payroll is made, what can you expect from the product that you put out on the ice? And I know that's a kind of a loaded comment, and you can take it as you wish, but it just struck me that someone like Steve Dangle, who lives and breathes the Maple Leafs, interned there and was only making $300 a month, wasn't paid by that organization. And I just can't imagine that happening in a top-notch organization. So, listen, thank you. It's great that I got to speak to you. I hope we get to do this again.
Yeah.
I promise you, I'll be very measured in my approaches with you and the fan base in Toronto. At the bottom of my heart, as I said, I was born in Toronto. I grew up as a Leaf fan until I was 14. I do. There's part of me that does want to see this organization succeed, but you're up against a lot, and unfortunately, it's tied up in a lot of corporate bullshit, and I don't know how it works out in the end for you guys, but I wish you guys all the best of luck. I'm always going to cheer for my bees, but if we're not playing each other in the playoffs, I hope the Leafs do well. So all the best to you guys.
Thank you. I appreciate you calling in. I appreciate the kind words. I think that was a measured call, and yeah, I appreciate that. So thank you. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You too, man. Take care of yourself.
There you go. PSF1 jumping on here to help us break this one down. We got to get to him. He's been sitting there waiting. There is not one person whose name I have heard more, read more, seen more in my Twitter DMs, my replies, the Leafs Nation After Dark chat. I have not seen this in my life. Even Gord, who is a fan favorite here, has not gotten this kind of demand on the post-game show. So, with that being said, he's made one total appearance here. We are on a marathon stream yet again. I don't know how I'm going to do this, considering it's game fucking 82 of the where there's game 18 of game 82 of the season, and we've got a long, long way to go. Let's welcome, last, but most certainly not least, the man you've waited all night for, the man you've liked the stream, sent super chats, subscribed to the channel, and demanded over and over and over again in the chat. Prague, welcome to the show. How are you doing tonight, brother?
Pretty good considering, but thank you for that introduction. I didn't expect that.
I have seen your name a million times in the chat here tonight. I didn't have your contact. I wasn't sure how to get in touch with you. I was like, this guy's got to call in. And I saw you log into the call and sit there and wait. And I have just been holding on to that because the moment you joined to right here, right now, when you've come onto the call, your name has been brought up over and over and over again about how the people wanted you to call in. So I'm glad you're here.
Oh, well, thank you to everybody. Anyways, to the Zack family, to the Leaf Nation family. Yeah, that's awesome. I'll give you my contact if you ever want it. But
okay.
But anyways, what PSF was saying, the Bruins have only, except for last year, they've only missed like 4 times in the last like 25, 30 years. So the playoffs, even if they didn't win a round sometimes. And we also had the Tuukka Rask trade. So and the trade for Dougie Hamilton and what's his face, Seguin, who won the Stanley Cup with them. But anyways, that's beside the story. So And lucking out on the second and third round picks that are Bergeron and you get Krejci and all non-first round picks, and Char choosing them over us. Anyways, so and the thing, like, I respect everybody's what they're saying. I think it was Max who was thinking about trading Tavares. Tavares took $27 million less on his first contract to come here.
Yeah, his wife from San Jose, what he was offered in San Jose, yeah.
No, he was offered 8 times 13, 8 times 14 by Lou in the New York Islanders.
I think he might have been offered less by the Islanders. I'm not trying to go semantics on you, but I think he might have been offered less by the Islanders. But I know he was offered whatever it was, a super high number by the Sharks as well at that point.
Yeah, 7 times 13, and then he's taking literally like a 38 goal scorer. Last year would not be making 4.5. They'd be closer to 10. So, first of all, just out of respect. Second of all, hockey players talk. So if they see how you get treated, that's part of the reason. Like what's his face PSF said about Dangle. That happened like 15, 17 years ago when the Leafs organization was a complete mess. Like one of the things I liked about Shanahan, because there were so many Leaf legends who had nothing to do with, didn't want anything to do with Leafs.
Yeah.
Right? Because they treated them so poorly. Not only Harold Ballard, but after the pension plan, like the teacher's pension plan and all that. So, but that happened anyway 17 years ago. Yeah. But that was like 17 years ago or 18 years ago when he was like a whatever. But anyways, but that's changed quite a bit in the last 10 years. However, one thing that hasn't changed is you need management that doesn't just care about money. Like, you need somebody who actually is a fan or it cares about the team. That's how the Illich is in Detroit. That's how the Boston, even though Boston, Philadelphia, like all those teams, and they had management that actually cares and actually has a vested interest. But when you have Rogers working with WWE after such a brutal loss, I'm like, okay, what? Anyways, I have to disagree with you. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like they increased ticket prices 10%. like actually, people are paying 10% more to go watch this.
No, it's 30% for season ticket holders in upper bowl, 20 to 25% in lower bowl. From what I have,
so even worse.
Yeah, that's what my friends told me. Who have like some of my friends, like some of them are teachers. Their families have bought tickets forever. Like we're talking almost since Maple Leaf Gardens opened, and they said, some of their family decides to go to Leaf games instead of going on trips, and I'm like confused. But like now, like it's gotten so expensive, it's hard to justify. So they try to split it up between their families. Anyways, and for what product? What product? Losing 6-1 twice, like we didn't even deserve to be in there. And how did we not take care of Ottawa last year in like 4 games? Like maybe 5 if we had a bad day, but like it was brutal. That was disgusting. There's no reason on earth that they should be like. There's no reason on earth we should have lost a game to Ottawa. Not a reason. And I don't think Berube's system. He's trying to force us to be the St. Louis Blues. He's treating Matthews like the Ryan O'Reilly in terms of his. And like, if you watch the game, I know you did, Zach, of course, but like, they're 30 feet, 20 feet inside the blue line when the puck's approaching. They're caving so far in.
Yeah.
Like, it's a wonder that they're not getting like 38 shots tonight, a total of 84 attempts. Like, what is that? Like, and that's with LA. That's not a high-powered team. So, like, the thing is, it's Berube. The only thing that we had last year was we don't have any possession. Our possession time is shit. We can't get the puck out. And that's Berube's system. But he had horses. Could do it. Peter Angelo. Have we ever had a Peter Angelo? Name one. Have we had?
None.
Like, in my lifetime. like I love Boreas Salming. I remember his games, right? But like
I don't. So I'm not gonna say. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
like, but like that's what I'm saying. So like I remember him. I remember the game he got like cut up for like whatever it was, 100 stitches or whatever it was. I remember every like I remember Clark's rookie game. So like the thing is, I just don't see the Leafs. Like first of all, we can't get a puck out, and I think it's because whatever system, it's not Lalonde. Lalonde's is only about PK. Mike Van Ryan's the defense coach, but the coach in charge controls the systems, right? It's always their system, unless they don't like. Some people are more motivators, like Ted Nolan, Bruce Boudreau, right? They're motivators. They let their coaches do the work, but they like to be positive and bring people up.
Yep.
Otherwise, everybody else is about strategy. Berube has no strategy. What was his strategy? Like, last year we were getting outshot by San Jose, Chicago, whatever, whoever. It didn't matter what. Was that a great strategy playing against a real team like Florida? Is that a real strategy? I watched Chicago against New Jersey just this week, just yesterday or 2 days ago. New Jersey could, like, yes, they outshot them because they're uber talented and everything. But the first period, they couldn't get inside the zone. They couldn't do anything. And they barely won. And that's with a team that's full of rookies or like second years or third years. Yep. They're all like under 23. So I'm saying it's our defense. It's the system. You can't make a square peg fit into a round hole. Like trying to make Matthews, like somebody on Twitter the other day was saying Matthews, like the way he's being played in terms of quality of competition is worse than all of that, right?
I talked about that earlier in the show here today.
I didn't see it because I was watching I watched the Leaf game. I started watching the Leaf game at like 8:30. I just cut through everything. But anyway, so personally, I think we need a retool. I think we need to get rid of. It might put us back for this year, but the coach is the problem. I think I don't even know what the idea is for this team. You can't make Matthews in like, yes, he's an amazing two-way player. Right now, he's just a 2C, and he doesn't look happy. He hasn't looked. Have you seen Mo or Matthews or anybody look happy during the games at all? Like no. Mo can't even do a pass. Like I've never seen Mo this bad. Like I've only seen Mo this bad the past year and a half.
Yeah.
Like tonight, he had several times he just gives up a pass to nobody, and the Leafs are scrambling to get it because he didn't pass it to the person in front of him. He went behind because I guess back passes is what he's supposed to do. Like I've never seen him play this badly. I just don't understand any of this. What's going on? I feel like whatever strategy they're trying to do is backfiring on the whole team. And I just don't see if we can make the playoffs. What's the purpose? What are we going to do? We may make the playoffs, but most likely we're just going to give up the 6th overall pick to Boston.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No. I mean, I'm with you. I would. That's why I'm just at the point here where I'm just thinking about this one, Prague, and I'm thinking. You got to change the coach, figure this out, see if a new set of eyes, a new thought process, a new approach changes anything. And if it doesn't, then that's when we get to the point here where we just look at this and say, hey, you know what? Let's reset. Let's come back at it next year. Let's see what we can do about getting assets back and getting players back. And then by the time you get to that point, maybe you've recouped some first round picks. Maybe you found a way to get some second or third round picks. Like, I don't know, maybe you find a way here, because the other thing to point out to people where I know it gets hit on a lot, but that the Leafs weren't calling teams and being like, give me Brandon Carlo, we're going to give you a first round pick. Like, the Bruins were asking for these, and there was a demand put out there based on, like, it's economics, right? Like, it's very simple, the supply and the demand. There wasn't much supply for some of these players, so the demand, so the prices of these things goes up, and now you have to pay them because that's the kind of players that you need, and you have to play it. So I don't know. I think that some of those are bad decisions, bad trades, but like, it's not like they were just calling him, like Boston would have taken a 7th and they chose to give Fraser Minton and a 1st. Like, that wasn't the thing. So I just think that at this point you start to look at it and you say, hey, what can we get back? Maybe people are looking for right-handed defensemen. Maybe people are looking for some gritty guy like Ekman Larson or somebody like Chris Tanev who can come in and help them out. Maybe that's the approach that you take. But yeah, I don't know. I think you bring in a new coach and you see where things are at, Prague. I think that's the approach here. I don't mean to cut you off here and make you short, but we have been going for 2.5 hours. It's over midnight.
2 minutes. 2 more minutes.
Okay.
2 minutes.
Okay. Last point.
Okay, so basically, I think who created the Boston Bruins culture? Which coach? He's now the assistant coach in St. Louis. He won this cup with them, but he was the coach for 4 years before and 4 years after.
Who's that?
Claude Julien.
Okay.
Who's going to be a free agent most likely at the end of this year after 12 years as coach with a team that's made it to the Stanley Cup 3 times and won 3 times and won it twice in the 2020s. He's coach of Team Canada.
Coop.
Yes.
Okay.
So what you can do right now is get somebody like Bruce Boudreau just to hype up the guys, whatever, make them feel happy, whatever. Get an interim coach, but with the goal of hyping these guys up so that we trade off. Basically, like, if we can keep Carlo for as our right-handed D, fine, but like, we need to do that. But just hype them up, trade off, not everybody, but like basically most of our defense. And second, someone who's willing to try the people we have as prospects, not Cowan, but like Jacob Quillen, like Benning, like I said last time, like Villeneuve. Those guys are ready. How many years? Like, we spend the most money on prospect development, and we don't develop anybody. We give them away. Holmberg is killing it in Tampa, right? Like, freaking Steves has his first 2 goals in hockey.
I don't know about.
No, but I mean, like, I'm looking at his like numbers, his stats, his whatever. While he's doing in his position, he's a 4th liner, in and out of the lineup. But I mean, like, comparatively, if you wanted somebody cheap, like, why did you even get a 7th round pick? Like Pontus Holmberg is effectively on pace here, Prague, for the same amount of points as he was in Toronto. Yes, but
he's got 1 goal, 4 assists. He's got 5 points in 15 games. Last year with Toronto, he played 68 games and had 19 points. So I mean, like, it's
no, but
not
I'm saying like in terms. Okay, so like the point is, even so, he's playing 4th line minutes in and out of the lineup. He's not played every game, but he's still doing relatively well. But his in terms of how he's doing in terms of transitioning the puck is better than what we're doing. That's of course the coaching and the players he's around him. But anyways, my point is tell people, oh, Benoit got injured. He's not even an NHLer at this point. He's playing
you can't do that. You can't do that. Like that's
people do that all the time.
Like, no, you can't. The NHL investigates these things. They take a look at these things. You have to genuinely be injured, and if you're not injured, then the player can file grievances. Like, it's easy enough for people to say, Prague, I get it, but you can't just do that. And, you know, I get, like, this is where I will disagree with you, and I know you're saying, like, you could have got something for David Kampf. You could. Brad Treliving called every single GM in the NHL and asked if they wanted him, and nobody wanted him. Nobody wants him at the price tag that he was coming in at. Nobody wants to pay a pick to get him at that. Nobody even claimed him off of waivers, Prague. So that's why you have to terminate the contract, because it's the number that he's coming in at. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that player at that. So that's why that happens.
No, but I get that. But I'm saying the thing is, when we are dying because of our defense, and you're putting Domi at center, that shows you the
But David
intelligence
Kampf was getting caved last year as well. He did not look very good last year.
David Kampf. Here's the thing: if you look, like I told you, I look at both the game and I look at the stats. I look at the advanced stats and stuff. Right? When was David Kampf the most effective? When he had puck movers with him on the bottom line, or people who could move the puck. His best time was when he was either had one of Engvall or Mikheyev. They're not the best players. What can they do? They can transition the puck. They can move the puck.
We can't be talking about like Engvalls and Mikheyev
but
and stuff. Like they didn't fit here. It didn't work here.
We right now have Yarncroc. We have Lawrence. Lawrence can move the puck up. If we need somebody at 4C, I don't want Cowan there. I want Cowan should not even been up the whole year. He needs as many minutes, become the best professional he can, and get the toughest minutes down in the AHL. But like the people we already have down there that've been there for a few years, like Steve's was the top scorer in the AHL for 2-3 years in a row.
Prague, I don't think we can be like nitpicking here about fourth liners and third liners. I get it, but I think that's a conversation if the team is like where the Oilers are or were at least. I think that's a conversation you have if you're Colorado right now and you're trying to figure things out to make sure your depth is there, or Dallas, like that is, or Carolina. That's not a conversation for the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Toronto Maple Leafs are trying to figure out why not one of their defensemen can play defense. They're trying to figure out why their goalie can't stop pucks. They're trying to figure out why from line 1 to 4 they can't play in their own zone. Like those are the big issues right now. Like we're I get what you're saying, but that's a conversation for when you're nitpicking going on the Stanley Cup run and you're like, do you need David Kampf to be your 4C because we need more defense rather than X player? Like, not when you're trying to figure out how to get out of the biggest fucking hole of all time here. Like, that's the problem, Prague. That's the problem.
But what I'm saying, no, because the only thing I'm saying is, to me, that shows what kind of thinking we have in management. Because if you think you're having a problem with defense in PK or whatever, and you have an injury to Lawton, who was an overpay. I love Lawton, but I way overpaid in terms of the transfer. But anyways, the draft picks.
Yeah.
But like the thing is, the whole thing is, it goes to the thinking, right? We could have paid a second way back in the day for what's his face, who was the first overall pick ahead of Sagan. Taylor Hall. What do we pay for? We paid for Nick Foligno, a first and a fourth. Like the same time. And the thing is, I'm saying it goes to me, it just shows the lack of, we don't know what they're trying to make our team into. We don't know. They want us to become a defensive team. Great. Then you have to get rid of anybody who can score and that's what they're doing. They're basically shutting down everything. Like, I think Matthews is not enjoying himself. He looks unhappy. He looks like, yeah, I honestly don't think Matthew right now shows any heart, but that might be because of the.
I think it was just an over adjustment. What you had before was too much of one thing and not enough grit and not enough grind, and now here you are and you don't have enough skill, and you just swung the pendulum too far across the other way. Like it. That's.
I think our forwards are fine. I think our forwards are fine. I think personally, I don't have a problem with most of our forwards. It's just a matter of finding a coach who knows how to use them. But
fair.
Our defense is the problem is knives.
Prague, we gotta wrap this up. We gotta wrap this up. We gotta wrap this up. It's 12:15.
Thanks again for doing this. I didn't expect you to be out late. Anyways,
I'm here. Thanks. There you go. There's Prague. I appreciate Prague jumping on here. We got one final segment before we can wrap up the show to close this thing out here tonight. Again, appreciate Prague for jumping on. 250 people still on here, 2.5 hours in, marathon stream. This is not sustainable. We can't be doing this every night. But let's get to our final couple segments. First of all, let's go to our Uber Eats Crave the Stats. I've got a different way for the stats to be presented here tonight. Uber Eats Crave the Stats, Crave the Stats, is a presentation of Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app, from game day eats to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip. Every time the Leafs are playing at home, you can get these exclusive deals in Toronto only on Uber Eats. Firehouse Subs, Bogo Brisket Hat Trick, Kibo Sushi, Bogo California Roll, Shelby Shawarma, Bogo Traditional Wrap. Bogo, of course, is buy one, get one. Before, during, and after the game, Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. Okay, you guys are going to like this a lot. I got a new way for us to debut the stat of the day. It's depressing. There's no doubt about that. But we are going to go to tankathon.com. This is the state that we're at right now. So, for those wondering, the Maple Leafs pick is top 5 protected. They only keep their first round pick that they traded to the Boston Bruins if they get a pick in the top 5. Right now, they currently have a 6.5% chance of winning the first overall pick. They're 5-4-1 in the last 10. They're on a 4-game losing streak. 8-2 through 18. Ladies and gentlemen, we will do this one time every time they lose. Whew. Let's sim the lottery. Oh, God. All right. 7th. That's almost feels worse. We're just sitting right there. No movement. Nothing. Those are your stats of the day. Crave the Stats. 6.5% odds of the number 1 overall pick. And we got fucked. 7th overall. Lose the pick. The Bruins take the guy. It's over. We come back for the next game. No play of the game here tonight. This thing stunk. Honestly, you know what? Play of the game for me is just Johnny T scoring both goals. Both goals. I'll give him credit for both. Guy is just chugging along. Just continues to be this model of consistency. I know that people look at him and say he's part of the problem, and I get it, but Johnny T just showed up and continued every single night. Let's continue on here with our final thing, grade of the game. We're going to go with like a D+ here tonight for the grade of the game. It's a D+. It's not a fail completely, but you were close. Not a fail, but you were close. That's all for me for tonight. Thank you to everyone who tuned in, watched, liked, subscribed, comments. There's still 250 people watching 2.5 hours into this thing. So thank you all for the participation. This is a D+ grade. It looked better, and then it fell off a cliff. Power play, didn't score. You were 2 for 2 on the penalty kill. Hildeby's below 900. Simone Benoit had 6 block shots. Nylander, 0 shots on goal. That's what you need, right? Nylander, 0 shots on goal. Anyways, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. The boys are back tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time for another Leafs Morning Take. Oh, somebody said I missed Super Chats. 2 Super Chats. Maxentius Decimus, Bruins fan, telling us how to feel. Eat dirt, loser. That's not nice, Max. He was a nice guy. Banana Cowbone 248 says, don't worry, we can just call up Grabenkin and Minton. Oof. With that, good night. Thanks, everybody. Come back here, Leafs Morning Take, in 10 and a half hours from now. Thanks for watching. See you guys on Saturday. the tank is on. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos, make sure to subscribe here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.